My name is Joseph Deneau, and I'm the student body president of Red Bank High School. It is my privilege to welcome each of you here today to the 14th annual Red Bank High School Hall of Fame ceremony. We especially want to thank or welcome each of our special guests, friends, families of the inductees, former teachers and administrators, and alumni who are with us here today. At this time, would you please stand and join me in welcoming to the stage the 2013 inductees to the Red Bank High School Hall of Fame. The Red Bank High School Hall of Fame began in 2000. Including this year's group, we have inducted 181 graduates who have distinguished themselves in both the personal and professional lives. These people have impacted our city, our state, our country, and many have made a difference in our world. As you will hear their stories, they have all done many things to help their hometown, their fellow man. We as a student body can learn a lot from these individuals and see firsthand what can be accomplished with an education from Red Bank High School. To begin the ceremony, we will have a presentation of the colors. Would you please stand? And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Our first recipient enjoyed his Red Bank days at the Dayton Boulevard location. He and his family lived across the street, and he remembers crossing the busy street to attend school. He remembers that he made it across that street okay, but maneuvering around the school was a different story. He remembers a sprain and near misses of broken bones as a result of running in the halls to be on time for class because he was talking too long in the hallways. He began his successful high school career being elected president of the 7th grade class in 1951, and as they say, the rest is history. Mr. Siegel excelled in science under some great teachers, including Mrs. M.A. Caballero in science and Mr. James W. Shaw in physics. He was elected class prophet in Swami and gave the 1958 Red Bank High School class prophecy at graduation. He won the 1958 University of Chattanooga by constructing a wind tunnel made from an old Electrolux vacuum, cleaner motor, and sheet metal frame. He used that same invention to win the state of Tennessee's science fair for young scientists. Mr. Siegel was no stranger to hard work. He began working at the age of 14, carrying film boxes up to the 3rd floor projection room at the old Red Bank movie theater, and sacking groceries after school on weekends. With this work ethic and determination, he entered college at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville and attended 3 years before transferring back home and finishing his degree in combined science at the University of Chattanooga. He was recruited from college to join the Burkhardt-Shire Chemical Company and was promoted as the plant manager a few years later. As his experience grew, he was given more and more responsibility within the company. After Burkhardt-Shire was purchased by General Aniline and Film Corporation, he stayed on and was promoted within that company to handle difficult problems. He then accepted a position with Colonial Chemical Company in Dalton, Georgia, and became the regional sales manager. In June of 1976, Donald was hired by the American Cyanamide Company, which was a worldwide chemical and water treating company. In January of 2001, the company downsized, and Donald took that opportunity to found his own company, Water Environmental Consultants. He began with clients in the state area and has progressed to a company that has global markets for water treating chemicals and needed technical services. Even among the numerous responsibilities at work, Mr. Siegel was also very conscientious about serving his community. He has been a member of the Lions Club since 1964, with his being a charter member of the Lakeside Lions Club. He was appointed by the mayor, city manager, and city council of East Ridge to the Hamilton County Water and Wastewater Treatment Authority to serve on the board of directors. He has been active in his community of East Ridge and serves as president of the Harris Hills Community Association. He is also active in the Mox Club at UTC, an alumnus sponsor for Kappa Sigma fraternity, an After 3 sponsor for Baylor School, works in his church, Grace Episcopal, has donated supplies to Red Bank High School's chemistry department when the schools changed sites, and has given sponsorship in the worldwide Water for People organization through the Water Professional Conference, which supplies drinking water to third world countries and underdeveloped nations. He also sponsored the Lakota St. Joseph's Indian School in Chamberlain, South Dakota, is a benefactor of the Paralyzed Veterans of America, and donates his much-needed blood type to Blood Assurance. Of course, with this type of working and giving record, Mr. Siegel has earned numerous awards and distinctions. He has garnered civic as well as professional recognitions. One of his most notable is his being awarded a U.S. patent for innovations in water treatment. He has also been chosen as the chairperson for the 50-year reunion committee for his class of 1963 from the University of Chattanooga. When asked who had been the greatest influence on his life, he said that his parents, Harold and Catherine Siegel, had taught him work ethics. He still remembers the guidance and support they gave him. He also acknowledges his wife of 40 years, Evelyn, as having been a loving, steady support as well. He is also so proud of his 2 children, Jay Scott and Christy Johnson, and his grandchildren, Ramsey, Colston, and Claire. He has also listed his priest, Susan Butler from Grace Episcopal Church, as a great influence. Mr. Siegel attributes his success with focusing on what is possible rather than bemoan what isn't. A positive, live by faith and not sight attitude that keeps hope in your heart will always help you. He admonishes the younger generations to lead by example, to take your performance personally. He says, quote, "If you are proud to be average, your life will be just that, average." Take care of your body, stay fit. It is your ultimate human system. Be a team player. Your team's triumphs and failures will be yours. Take ownership of both. Oftentimes, the best move is the bold move. And in your life, there will be many times when all eyes turn to you for a decision. Be prepared for them. Don't shrink from them. Embrace them and be decisive, not weak and silent. He ends by telling you to be proud of your being able to attend Red Bank High School because of its tradition of excellence. I don't know if Mr. Siegel, as the class prophet, had any inkling of how his future would unfold. Did he ever dream that his aptitude in science would one day literally touch the world? He took his own advice about hard work, keeping a positive attitude and performing to the best of his ability, both individually and as a teammate, to show the future sitting here today a great example to follow. It is with great appreciation for his example that we induct Mr. Donald Siegel.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, Colonel Enix, students, faculty. I'm proud to be back home again. It's been a long time since I left Red Bank High School, and fellow Lions and Lionesses, I'm proud to be here with you. You shouldn't have gone to all this trouble just for me to bring our statue, the brick statues of from our old high school, and put them out here. We had nicknames for them. They were called Dean and Marilyn. Marilyn Monroe and Dean Peterson was our principal back in the 50s, and I'm glad to see them back here again. They were special then, they're special now. So thanks for having me back. Like he said, I lived across the street from the old high school, which is being torn down now, and you can tell it's gone. I mean, I never attended classes here, but the old Red Bank High School was a special place. We had world-class teachers. Our teachers, just like yours now, are world-class. They can teach anywhere. They are superior teachers, or they wouldn't be here. So really start to pay attention to your teachers. I had a chemistry teacher back in 57 and 58, Mrs. Caballero, a Spanish lady, and she was a great chemistry teacher. I got the footprint of chemistry in my blood and continued on and graduated with a chemistry degree from University of Chattanooga back then from Irvine Grody. Dr. Grody was a very famous inventor, invented buffering, did all that type of invention, and he was my professor. It was hard. Organic chemistry is hard, but it's worth it. I, like I say, worked for a major national, international water treating company for 25 years and went all around the country, did some international work for American Cyanamid Company based out of Wayne, New Jersey. A great company. After 25 years, there were 9 of us senior technical guys. We'd gone up the ranks to be the top technical water treating guys, and I was telling your principal, I don't drink a lot of water. But anyway, after 25 years, they called the 9 of us in and said, gentlemen, you don't have a job anymore. Goodbye and good luck to you. That was in 1961. Well, I'm going to use this as a little prop right here, and maybe it'll teach you a lesson. I made lemonade out of that lemon. I took the news, came back home to my wife and said, dear, I don't have a job anymore. She said, well, you're too young to retire. What are you going to do? I started my own little water consulting firm 1 year later and have found a little niche that I have. I don't sell any product, I just sell knowledge. I used the knowledge from my basic chemistry from 1957 and 58 at Red Bank High School to take me into the arena of water treating consultant. When the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, had this big spill up here in Kingston, Tennessee, I got a call saying, Don, be up here Monday morning. I was kind of busy at the time, and I said, I can't be up there Monday morning. I'm busy. He said, you don't understand, this is TVA. We want you here Monday morning. Well, I said, make me an offer. Well, they made an offer, and I stayed up there 9 months helping them get rid of that coal sludge from the 2 beautiful rivers up there. And I would come home on the weekends, go back every Monday, work through Friday in water treating for TVA. Those are the type of jobs and abilities that you all can do graduating from this school. This is a world-class high school. But when you leave here, you seniors, what gets me is you're now living in a computer world. Back when I was in high school, we were lucky to have a slide rule. We had the old manual slide rule, the K and S, that you would get your numbers by doing the slide rule. We did not have calculators. We did not have cell phones. We were just basic science beginners. So think of yourself as learning from this great high school you're going to now, and the world is out there. Recently, my little water consulting business, after 11 years having a contract with the city, I won the contract again, but I haven't been called to work because they're trying to save money and they've downsized. So again, I'm going to make lemonade out of lemons and do other work. I've reached out to try to find other companies to do that. Back in my senior year, I'm going to speak to your seniors for a minute. We had 155 seniors in my class. 155 is all we had. We, for $48, were able to take a train trip from Chattanooga to Washington, D.C. and toured that. So we left here at 7 o'clock in the morning. For 24 hours, we rode that train and made one stop up to Washington, D.C. We got to Washington, D.C. We had our pictures made. We spent the whole day there. We went to all the sites. We went to the great National Cathedral. And in that cathedral, there's a beautiful organ, one of the biggest organs you'll ever see. And in that organ, we heard the organist play. There are the white keys, there are black keys, and the brown foot pedal is all important. She said, I can play you tunes now with just the white keys, or I can play you the tune with just the black keys, or I can play something with my foot on the brown pedals. But she said, to get the best out of this instrument, I need all the keys. You've got to work together. So let that be a little message to you. So we got back from our train ride. We spent the day there, got back on the train at 7 o'clock that night, rode all the way back here, 7 o'clock in the next morning, we were back home. So let me just say to you, the world is a big world out there. It's up to you to go get it. You'll find a chance of a lifetime out there and a lifetime of chances. So when you see that, get ready and grab hold, because you only get to go through this thing in this body one time. Again, it's glad to be home. Thank you.
Our next recipient has many fond memories of Red Bank High School. Mr. Neville shared that he remembers the excitement of Friday night football games, participating in local activities with the Junior Optimist Club, singing Christmas carols in the mall with the Spanish Club, and participating in citywide math competitions with the Math Club. Mr. Neville graduated from Red Bank and then attended the University of Tennessee at Knoxville to major in electrical engineering, and he later earned his master's degree in international relations from Troy State University. After graduating from UT, Mr. Neville spent 20 years as a pilot in the United States Air Force, flying F-4, F-106, and F-16 throughout the United States, Iceland, and Spain. During his enlistment, he attended the USAF Test Pilot School and spent several years as a test pilot. He retired from the Air Force and began working for Boeing as a civilian test pilot on the new F-22 Raptor. He was the first pilot to reach the 500-hour mark, which is still the Raptor's high time for a pilot. He later moved to the commercial airline side of Boeing and became qualified in all current Boeing transport aircraft, conducting flight tests on B-737, B-747, B-757, B-767, and B-777. He is currently Boeing's chief test pilot for the B-787 Dreamliner and flew the first flight of that new airplane in December of 2009. He is currently preparing to fly the first flight of a new version of the 787 in September 2013. As a test pilot, Mr. Neville conducts flight tests of new airplane designs, establishing the basic airworthiness of the airplane and verifying that all functions as designed. Among all of the professional feats that he has accomplished, Mr. Neville has had some other adventures along the way. He has been interviewed about his and his fellow squadron mates witnessing the eruption of Mount St. Helens from a T-33A T-bird flying thousands of feet in the air over Washington State. He has also starred in the Hulk movie, in which he played the F-22 fighter pilot and was a technical advisor on the set. Even with his busy schedule, Mr. Neville has found time to mentor and encourage numerous young aviation enthusiasts who have since begun their own aviation careers. Mr. Neville has been honored during his career with many prestigious awards. He earned a place as a fellow in the Society of Experimental Test Pilots, which is the highest rank of membership in that organization. He was awarded 2005 Annual Kinchlow Award for Test Pilot of the Year for F-22 test events. This award is now displayed at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. He and his teammates have also been awarded the Collier Trophy twice. This award is given annually to recognize innovation in air and space. His Collier trophies were for his work on the F-22 and the B-787 development. When asked who was his greatest influence in his life, he replied that his mother has been a constant inspiration throughout his life. He has been amazed how strong she can be, and yet so compassionate during the challenges of life. He confesses that she was probably not too excited when a young 22-year-old headed out to fly jet airplanes, but she always gave her full support in his pursuit of his dreams. Mr. Neville says that a Hallmark card that he sent her once said it best: "Thank you for holding me close and for letting me go all at the same time." His goal is to be more like her. Mr. Neville attributes his success to his love of learning that has kept him motivated throughout his career. In retrospect, his career seems to be a constant pursuit of knowledge. Flying many kinds of airplanes, learning the technology behind the planes, and traveling the world has been a path of constant challenges and stimulation. Throughout all of his experience, he never stopped learning. From excitement at a Friday night football game, to the excitement of piloting a plane that is being tested, to finding his way back to us, makes for a story of adventure and accomplishment. Today we are most proud to add our thanks and acknowledgement to those that Mr. Neville has already rightfully earned as we induct him into the Red Bank High School Hall of Fame. Accepting on his behalf is a former classmate, Mr. Steve Smith.
Well, thank you. In Randy's honor, I'm accepting the award. I was with Randy in Seattle, Washington in August. Randy's very healthy. He's got 2 sons, and he's having a great life in Seattle. I asked if I could go see the Boeing 787 at Boeing Field, and he said, sure, come on down to the guardhouse. I'll have a pass waiting for you. So we got up in the cockpit. We went through the plane. We saw the test plane that was the one that was used for all the test work. And it's just an amazing machine. And what I wanted to bring back to you is the fact that Randy is an amazing person. And I think his mom and sister are here, and they would admit that he has gone through a lot of interesting experiences. But let me say, as his friend, that his character is what brings him to the front in every situation he's in. And I wanted to bring you a word from the Greek Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who said the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. And that is the word I would give you in your life going forward, is only go with people who will uplift you and bring forth your best, just as Randy has done for me. So thank you very much.
Today, we posthumously honor one of our own. Brenda Hafley graduated Red Bank High School in 1981. Her family shares with us that she enjoyed her English classes and loved writing. She loved softball, later played on an adult team. She loved the outdoors, fishing on the beach, and horses. Mrs. Hafley entered the Chattanooga Police Force in 1987, served as a sergeant for 25 years. She served as the Tennessee State DARE Treasurer for 3 years and was a member and treasurer of the International Brotherhood of Police Officers for 5 years. She is best known for her work in the community as a DARE officer at the elementary school. Her daughter Charla, class of 2012, relates that her mom had a drive in her that was all her own. She wanted to help people, to show people that there were still good people in this world. She loved the kids and wanted to teach them to say no to drugs and bullying. And Mrs. Hafley emphasized the message that keeping yourself from negative influences makes you a better person. A person that can say no to elements that harm you and yes to those that helped. She also worked as a court liaison. Mrs. Hafley also promoted another cause that was dear to her heart. She was most proud of her Native American heritage and was active in the Native American Association. She spent much of her time educating young people on this topic and assisting in the restoration of the Trail of Tears in the South Side. She was also a member of the Red Bank Class of '81 Alumni Reunion Committee for 20 years. Mrs. Hafley's greatest influence has been shown in the love she garnered from her fellow officers. When she was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, her family in blue, the police officers, stepped in to show their love and support. When her cancer returned for a second time, she was in the middle of renovations to her home. Her fellow officers showed up to help the contractors finish. Due to her treatment, she became too weak to continue overseeing the project. Fellow police officers helped with her medical bills and came by often to visit and boost her spirits. The police cadets in police school also wanted to lend a hand. Many community members also joined the police in aiding one who had served her community for so many years. In one article, those interviewed said they were not surprised at Miss Hafley's fighting of the disease. She had for a quarter of a century fought crime, and it had made her tough. In early 2012, upon her return to work, after her second battle with cancer, she was awarded the Chief's Award. Each year, only one officer is given this distinctive award, selected by the Chief of Police. The love that was showered on her was tangible evidence of the influence she has had on fellow officers and supervisors. Always greeting everyone with a smile, she was honorarily adopted by many loving families as one of their own. Mrs. Hafley's family remembers her influence and wisdom for them. She always admonished her daughter to surround herself with good people. She wanted her to plan ahead, and as she put it, this is a great phrase, think past the end of your nose. Her family remembers her as a perseverant person. When she decided something was going to happen, she didn't stop until it did. She also believed in the principle of doing it right the first time. Her daughter remembers fondly her motherly love and advice, even though they disagreed at times, as most mothers and teenage daughters do. She knew her mother always had her back no matter what. Charla remembers her taking sick days if Charla was sick, making time to do activities together they both enjoyed, and encouraging her to do her best at all times. Today, the school flag flies at half-mast in Mrs. Hafley's honor. We wanted to add our own affirmation that Brenda Hafley did in fact do it right the first time. Her influence in the community will long be remembered as a legacy to her and her ideals. Now her family of blue and white honor her today as we induct Mrs. Hafley into the Red Bank High School Hall of Fame. Charla Hafley will accept the plaque on behalf of the family.
Our next inductee is David Cook. Mr. Cook remembers his time at Red Bank High School as, in his words, a place where I learned about community and diversity and, frankly, love. Mr. Cook remembers that he was surrounded by so many teachers and students who cared about each other and about our school. He admits there were the usual problems, homework, peer pressure, but there was also a ground underneath us that was steady and sure. Having that is invaluable for teenagers and most often comes from knowing that the adults around you have got your back. After graduating from Red Bank, Mr. Cook received a master's degree in Peace and Justice from Prescott College and an English literature degree from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. He then began his post-college career as a sports writer for the Chattanooga Free Press. He is now the Metro columnist for the paper. His column is featured daily, and he covers issues that are significant in the life of Chattanooga and beyond our city limits. Mr. Cook has been recognized for his outstanding work in journalism by winning first place in the Tennessee Press Association for his columns. He is most proud of his being named a Marshall Memorial Fellow. This prestigious award is given to recognize leaders in their communities and professional fields. They must have demonstrated achievement within their profession, civic involvement, and leadership. With this fellowship, Mr. Cook was able to travel to 5 different countries in Europe for 6 weeks one summer. He traveled to Belgium, Italy, Montenegro, Spain, and Netherlands. He shared that with each location, he saw things he had never seen before. There he met with policymakers, business professionals, and community leaders, thousands of miles from his own home. Mr. Cook said it was challenging, enriching, and instructive. In fact, he says it reminded him a lot of Red Bank and the fact that it again introduced him to different people with different stories. Mr. Cook has also been published in such magazines as The Sun, The Utne Reader, and G's. He has also been published in academic journals and has an upcoming article to be published in an anthology on homelessness. Mr. Cook has also taught classes at the middle school, high school, and university levels. He has also created curriculums for high schools and colleges and courses on peace studies. He really enjoys his interaction in the classroom, and he feels that he learns much more from his students than they learn from him. When asked who his greatest influence is, he replied that initially it is mostly his dad. He relates that his dad was a teacher and coach at Red Bank for decades, including the years that he attended. He taught him, in school and out, how to see the good in other people. He said, "He taught me how to look past differences. He taught me how to appreciate, honor, and know all people of different types." Mr. Cook sees his dad as his first teacher and believes without his influence, he would not have had the success he has now. He lists his mom, his wife, and his 2 children as the other significant influences in his life. They are all his best teachers, and he considers himself lucky that each day he goes home to his wife and children. Mr. Cook shared this: his wife is the best woman he knows, and that his kids are both his 2 favorite people on this planet. They teach me so much: how to be patient, how to be humble, and how to have fun. His family loves sports, both playing and watching. They also have an abundance of chickens and dogs in their backyard that his kids love to chase around. When contacted about this award, Mr. Cook replied, "I would be completely honored to be part of the Red Bank Hall of Fame." Immediately following that statement came this one: "I can't even believe I'm writing that sentence." We can believe it, Mr. Cook. Thank you for representing Red Bank High School and your city on such public stage where you endorse the acceptance you learned so long ago. It is our distinct honor to welcome you into the Red Bank Hall of Fame.
Good morning, Ms. Ennis. Your group did a wonderful job welcoming us into the school today. It made us feel so special, and I hope that at some point you all can feel that special. Being here is like a time machine. You go back in time and you remember what it was like to be in high school. And I'm overcome with many things, and I want to say 2 words. The 2 words that sum up most of what I'm feeling right now is thank you. And I would like to thank the teachers that I had and principals that I have, my parents, most especially. You go to a wonderful school. I was a teacher for a while, and right now I'm a columnist, which means I tell stories for a living. And you give me the stage and you give me an audience like this, and I want to just tell you one story, if that's okay. Years ago, they did a social experiment, a social studies experiment. And they went out and they got some students, probably your age or a little bit older, and they brought them into a classroom and they said, look, we'll give you $50, we'll give you $100, something like that. If you take this test, we need to measure your intelligence. We need to measure your intelligence with this test. Multiple choice, number 2 pencil, you know these things. So the people said, sure, one at a time. They came into a room, much like a classroom you may have here. They took this test. And behind the windows, right, it was like a, what do you call it, one-way glass, you know, like in the cop shows, you can't see out, you can't see it. So they said, all right, here's your test, go. And the people in the chairs thought they were taking this intelligence test. But really what was happening is the people behind the glass, the social scientists, were studying something else. And about halfway into the test, they started pumping black smoke into the room. Through the windows, under the doors, smoke, right? And when there's smoke, there's fire. So they timed the students to see how long they saw the smoke. They would put down their pencils and run out the door. And it was fast, man. Like, I mean, if you're in a classroom and you see smoke, what are you going to do? You're going to leave, of course. So most, if not all, the students skedaddled within seconds of seeing the smoke. There was no fire, mind you. This was all a setup. This was all a stage. It was a fake, it was an experiment. But the people taking the test didn't know that. You got it? We're clear? So now they changed it. They went out into the streets, got some more students like you, brought them in. This time, everything was the same classroom, same little multiple choice test, same one-way class. But one thing was different. They paid actors to take the test with them, right? So the whole room was full of maybe 50 students. And only one of them was not an actor. And everybody else was told, look, when the smoke comes, it's not real. Don't get up. Keep taking your test. Keep your head down and pretend like there's no smoke. And everybody in the room was going to do that except for one person. So they brought him in, and guess what they were going to watch this time? When that smoke came in, what was this one person going to do when everybody around them had their head down? What do you think they did? Time and time again, the scientists watched students, people, adults too. They saw the smoke come in the room. They saw lots of smoke come in the room. They saw very dark, thick smoke, so much they could barely see their hand in front of their face in the room, and they still did not get up, simply because everybody around them had their head down, pretending like nothing was happening. Do you get the point of this? I know that feeling, right? I especially knew it in high school. High school can be very difficult. And the point of this story, and I tell it wherever I go, is hopefully so that we realize the purpose in life is to follow your heart, right? To be true to yourself and to listen to your conscience. And that can be tough, man. That can be really hard to do, as this fire in the room, smoke in the room study shows. So I tell you this today, not to frighten you, but to remind you that you got something inside that's really good. And you're surrounded by teachers and adults who will help you grow that. That's what happened to me. And if it happened to me, it can also happen to you. So I would like to say once more, thank you so much. And I wish you the best as a Red Bank student.
Our next inductee is Brian Phillips. Mr. Phillips remembers his days at Red Bank High School fondly. He truly believes his time at Red Bank was instrumental in helping him become who he is today. Of all the incredible memories that he has, his strongest memories involve people cheering others to success. He said, I remember nearly all of the school would dress up on crazy clothes every Friday night to cheer on our football team. I remember seeing my parents in the bleachers for every wrestling match, cheering us to victory. Mr. Phillips relates a funny story about the end of one of those wrestling seasons. Although he had never played tennis, he decided to try out for the tennis team after his 9th grade season of wrestling. He remembers that he was horrible, but somehow made the team. At the end of the season, he was given the Most Improved Player award. He felt so good about the progress he had made that year, he decided to try out again after his 10th grade wrestling season. After the season was over, he remembers he was surprised to yet again win the Most Improved Player award. He was grateful for the recognition and felt his game was truly improving at this point. He once again decided to play tennis at the end of his 11th grade year, and you guessed it, he won Most Improved Player again. Mr. Phillips said that it was at that point he realized just how bad he must have been in the 9th grade. Mr. Phillips also remembers his teachers who consistently cheered the students on to do their best in the classrooms. He will forever be grateful for the many coaches, teachers, and other students that made Red Bank a wonderful place to attend high school. Mr. Phillips attended Samford University upon his graduation from Red Bank and majored in business administration. He then attended Birmingham Theological Seminary and earned his Master's of Arts in Missions Intercultural Studies. Upon his graduation from Samford in 1999, he began working for campus outreach at the University of Montevallo in Alabama. He worked there until 2005, when he accepted the role of Area Director for Campus Outreach. He remained in that position until he was moved to Brisbane, Australia. That was in January of 2011. He is currently the Area Director for University Impact in Brisbane. Mr. Phillips explained his work is focusing on helping college students develop as Christian leaders. His work in Brisbane is mainly on the campus of the University of Queensland, which is ranked in the top 100 universities of the world. A significant part of his job as director is to guide the staff under him to be successful in helping students. He enjoys the opportunity of meeting with students and assisting them to consider the biggest questions of life, and then helping them make decisions in light of their convictions. When not working, Mr. Phillips spends a significant amount of his time enjoying his family. He and his wife have 3 children, ages 10, 8, and 6, and they're adopting a 1-year-old little girl from China. They plan to travel to China in December to bring her home. He also enjoys coaching youth soccer as he sees it as an opportunity for the kids to develop fitness and character. He also volunteers at his church where he teaches the 4- and 5-year-old Sunday school class and leads a community team that meets at his house each week. When asked who his greatest influence on his life has been, he replied that it was his parents. He said he learned so much from both of them that he could never list everything. He does say that it has been their unconditional love and support that has encouraged him to try things that he would not have otherwise. Mr. Phillips attributes his success to Jesus. Brian's work and ministry have been blessed beyond his beginnings here at Red Bank to reach literally halfway across the globe. The encouragement that he recognized in his high school days is magnified now by him to students at the university level. Today we honor Mr. Phillips' encouragement and extended influence for good and answers in the world. His letterhead for University Impact reads, "Following Jesus, loving people, building leaders." This summarizes Mr. Phillips' work in our world today. Although his work keeps him in Australia, where it is now close to midnight, we welcome him into the Red Bank Hall of Fame.
Other than graduation, I think this is my favorite event that we do at Red Bank High School, and it's because of one thing. I told Mr. Siegel earlier today when we were talking, this is probably the most powerful message that we can send to you guys as students, is that we're trying to prepare you for something outside of Red Bank High School. And the message that all of these new recipients presented is that you have an opportunity here that if you make the right decisions and you choose so, you can do almost anything. You could be a journalist. You can be in the water treatment business. But there is a world of opportunity for you outside of these doors, and if you choose to do it, you can make it happen. The other reason I think it's such a great event is because we call you and implore you to be respectful and to behave the way that we know you can. What's neat is when we ask you to do that, you step up every time. You act the way that you should, you're respectful, you're listening, and I know, and they're aware of this, this is not the most fun event for you to sit through. As 16, 17, 18-year-olds to ask you to sit here for an hour and listen to what I'm sure you consider to be old people, and to be respectful says a lot about you as a student body. So I appreciate the way that you've handled yourself and the respect that you showed the new inductees. I think I would be remiss not to acknowledge several people in the audience. If you were a former teacher or employee of Red Bank High School, if you would please stand. Right now, the band is going to lead us in the alma mater. If you have over the years forgotten the words, or students, if you've never learned the words, they are on the back of your program. So at this time, Ms. Smith, please stand, sorry. Again, one last time, I'd like to congratulate the 2013 inductees into the Red Bank Hall of Fame. Students and teachers, at this time, we're going to dismiss. Before we do that, friends and family, we do have a reception in the school library. We'd love for you to stay for a while and look around the school, meet some of our students, and just enjoy the day. One announcement for Ms. Moyo's class: you will not be meeting in the library. Obviously, please go to her classroom. And at this time, teachers, if you would take your students back to advisory and then dismiss to third block. Thank you for being so respectful.